Alrighty, thanks for being here, everybody. I'm Sam Anderson, product manager for the web application at Map My Customers. We're going to go over this HubSpot integration. I'm so excited. This is something we've been working on for a while, and it's a real big deal for you all, and I know it is here for us. So quick agenda for us. We're going to talk about some basics of things that happen before setup, some things you need to consider. We're going to go through what the interface looks like on the Map My Customer side. We'll show a demonstration, and then we'll go through some questions if you guys have them at home. Excellent. So basic considerations, there's only a few you need to keep track of. The first one is what qualifies someone to be eligible. The HubSpot integration is available to team owners in Map My Customers. They're the ones who can set up these integrations. And we're excited to say that the one-way sync is free to teams of 10 or less. So if you've got a small team on HubSpot and you've got the users on Map My Customers as well, this is a great way to get that data from HubSpot to Map My Customers using this integration. To start this, to activate it, you just need to reach out to the sales team, sales at Map My Customers. But you can go through it inside the Map My Customers application, set this up, preview this process, shoot that email to sales. And like I said, if you're just looking for that one-way sync from HubSpot to Map My Customers, they can get you activated on this integration totally for free. So be on the lookout for that. And that's all really that you need to be aware of. Like if you've got HubSpot and you've got Map My Customers, this is the place to be. So what I'm going to do is go through and just talk about the interface on the Map My Customers side here. So if you look here, this is what the integrations page looks like. You can access this from the manage bar or from the universal add sign. I already have one running here, but I'm going to show through what this process would look like, whether you're editing the integration or setting it up for the first time. It'll be the same process. So for those of you who are interested, you would add an integration by hitting this add button. For me, it's turned off because I already have my HubSpot integration running. So I'll just edit it here. A couple of definitional things. We're going to sync our HubSpot. We're going to choose which objects first to sync from our CRM. Our options are companies, people, deals, and activities. Those are the names of our objects, or otherwise known as record types. I can choose if I only want to bring over my companies or if I wanted to bring over my whole set of data. I can choose those. And the relationships between these objects, so if I have, activities with some account, those kinds of things can come over as well. Yeah, and if for some reason you don't want to sync over deals, if let's say reps in the field don't need that, you can uncheck that or make these kind of considerations according to your use case. Moving on to this next section here, it's important to know that for every HubSpot user, you'll need to have that Map My Customers user as well. The sync here is on a user-to-user basis. So if you can see here, we've got a couple of these people in HubSpot. These are all the HubSpot email addresses, and then they're syncing to these specific Map My Customers alter egos here. We're moonlighting as superheroes. So in this case, this is my email address in our HubSpot CRM, but I pretend that I'm Pepper Potts when I'm saving the world here. So you have an option to choose who you want to sync, and if you want to have that sync enabled or turned off for some reason, you have that option here. Again, just want to bring up that you will need to make sure that you have, for everybody in HubSpot, they'll also need to have a license in Map My Customers to be able to receive that data. Okay, going forward. This first part's pretty easy. This next part should be the same. It's going to look a little more complicated, but hopefully we can run through this together and it'll all make sense. So what this next part is if you're familiar with the Map My Customers importing, this is a very similar process here. You're going to choose what HubSpot field will put the data into which Map My Customers field. So in this case, on companies, there's an About Us, and in Map My Customers, we've created an About Us custom field, and whatever's in HubSpot is going to be brought over automatically into that field here. But a lot of people have so many fields in their CRM. They have all these departments working together, but the sales team doesn't need all that information on the go. So what we have is the ability to choose which fields you'd like to enable or not. So if you look in this list, there's so many here, but we don't have to check all of them. So for example, Facebook company page or Twitter bio, a field rep on the go with their mobile phone doesn't need to have that information when they're trying to walk in the door and close that deal. Might be important for the marketing department, but we don't actually have to sync that to Map My Customer, so we can save that time and save that space here. So as a user, you can go through and choose each field in HubSpot, where you want it to go in Map My Customers, and if you want to actually bring it over. Another cool feature here is, let's say you're starting this sync and you haven't created custom fields. You can create custom fields on the fly in this integrations interface just by clicking Create New Custom Field. And what's so cool about this is Map My Customers is going to automatically see what the custom field is in HubSpot and bring over all that data into MMC automatically. And let's say that you have a really important field, like your product type or your tiering system or some other way that you're segmenting your customers. You can choose this option here for grouping, and it will automatically make a group in Map My Customers for you to be able to filter or share those record types. So in this case here, for like life cycle stage, if I wanted to be able to filter really quickly and look on a map and see, okay, what are all my customers in, the at-risk life cycle stage, for example, I could click this grouping option, and then when this sync happens, it'll make groups for each of those options of the life cycle stage. So a really powerful option that allows you to do lots of different things. I'll collapse this here. For each of the objects you've selected or the record types you've selected, you'll get to choose which of these fields. So you have companies, people, activities, and deals. Each of these interfaces is very similar. You can group these deals or people however you'd like, and as well choose the fields that you want to bring over. So a lot on the page, but at its core, very simple. You're choosing which fields connect to which fields and which ones you want to bring over. Really, the last step in our process here is choose the frequency. Now, My Customers, you can have it sync every day if you'd like, or if that's less important, you can sync weekly or even monthly. And then finally, you get to choose the day you'd like to begin that sync. Once you're ready to go, and you've reached out to sales, we'll get this started within 2 business days. And so this will help you to say, you know what, I want my syncs to be on Mondays. So we'll just wait that extra day, and we want to start on Monday, making sure things get running. This is pretty simple. Most of customers are going to choose daily, and your sync is just going to be the day you want to get started. And so that's as simple as it is. After you've got to this point in the process, you click Save Changes, and you're ready to go. So I've gone through this whole process before, and now we could run through a quick use case to see what this looks like. Are there any burning questions? I see a couple of people in the chat right now. Any questions? Can I sync my HubSpot tasks to MMC? Oh, that's a great question, Rachel. Totally. In HubSpot, they're called tasks. In Map My Customers, they're called activities. Map My Customers supports a wide variety of activity types. And so we can bring over all of the default HubSpot activity types. That's a great question there. Any other questions that we have right now? Feel free to drop those in the chat. If not, I'll jump in to show a quick little demo of how this works. All righty. So I'm going to imagine that I work in healthcare, and I'm looking to open up a new area in Oklahoma City. Here you can see my Map My Customers map. Oklahoma City, I know that I'm going to be there for a conference. I want to do a little bit of work while I'm there, see if I can make some contacts. Map My Customers, I currently don't have any of my accounts here, but with our HubSpot integration, I can quickly get those into Map My Customers on the map and ready to go. So I've jumped into my HubSpot here, and I'm going to quickly create a company. I got a couple of these that I know I've heard some good things about that I want to reach out to. So I'm gonna just drop this company domain name here. HubSpot is gonna fill in all this information for me. I'm gonna create and add another. Just gonna add 3 companies for now that I want to, 3 hospitals right now that I want to stop in on. And then we can head over to Map My Customers and look at these. So I've got my 3 customers here. HubSpot has got all this great information from my domain name. It's got the phone number, the city. It's got all this stuff for me on these 3 accounts. So if I was here in HubSpot, I could write these. I could put these into HubSpot. I could write my information. I could take my notes. And then when I'm ready, whether on the Met My Customers web app or the mobile app, these are going to sync with my HubSpot integration to that app. So if I was on the field and I woke up and I wanted to route to these, I could jump on the phone and these accounts would be there. So while I'm here in Oklahoma City, what I can do is zoom in here. I had to refresh my map for a moment. Looks like one of them is still syncing over, but I've got these pins here that I've created. And this is one of those hospitals that I just added from HubSpot. It's got my website there, my phone number, that information. And so if I was on my mobile phone, my manager could have added these in HubSpot and I could have it here and I could be ready to go and have that information of where it is on the street and who to call to make sure I can get in the door there. As well, let's say that I was here and I was like, oh, I've already visited these spots that I wanted to go to. I could say, you know what, I got some time. I want to find some more. For our demo here, I'm going to go to Oklahoma City. Not going to look in New York. And I'm going to look up here, hospital. I'm going to have a bunch of hospitals come up through my find leads. I'm going to say, I want to add a few of these. Community Hospital North sounds like a good one. Let's add that company. Oklahoma Heart Hospital South sounds good. And I'll add one more here. Let's add Norman Regional More. Sounds great. So I've just added these three hospitals in Map My Customers. Let's make sure they're there on my list. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. So now I can go back to HubSpot, go to my companies list, and boom, already right there, those 3 accounts are in HubSpot. So I added those through my lead generation tool in Map My Customers. And then in just a short moment, they've been brought over here into HubSpot with all this information already filled out, ready to go. So whether the prospecting work I'm doing here is on my phone or on the computer in Map My Customers or in HubSpot, that data is going to talk back and forth. So there's no double data entry and things aren't getting mixed up and lost. Just a quick note here as well. I've shown both the sync directions of both ways. The initial sync and our default standard sync though is going to be taking that data from HubSpot into Map My Customers. If you're looking for the bidirectional sync of Map My Customers back to HubSpot, you can talk to the sales team about your use case and working something out there. So that's our demo. It's short, simple, and sweet. But we're so excited to be able to bring this technology. We know that this is going to empower so many sales team who are using HubSpot as their CRM to be able to really get their data on the road and get things moving. Any questions now? I'd like to throw it to a Q&A session here. If you have questions about what you've seen or if you want me to run something again or anything about this integration, I'm happy to answer these questions. You can chat your questions in or use the Q&A feature on the Zoom webinar. All righty. Can we see an activity sync in Map My Customers? Sure, I'll pull up an activity sync. Jay Cobbs asks, what's the price for two-way sync? That's going to depend on what you're looking to do. These two-way syncs require a lot more complexity of, how fields are going to go and how it works with, overwriting and things like that. So that's something you're going to have to reach out to the sales department. The two-way sync is going to be custom pricing based on your team and your needs. Excellent question, Jake. And you can reach out to sales@mapmycustomers.me to start that conversation about what you need for your organization. All righty. So let's say that here I've gone to this Norman Regional Moore Hospital. I just had a great visit with them. I can add an activity here. Hospital visit. I just had a hospital visit here. Let's say it happened a little before the webinar, 9:15 a.m. for 30 minutes. Had a great meeting with Rebecca, who runs the purchasing department, and she told me that I should get in contact with Doug, but she seemed very interested. So I could add this information when I got home from the day, or let's say I was on the road. Of course, I could just quickly type this into my mobile app. I'm going to create this complete activity here. I felt safe during my visit, and I'm going to save this activity. Actually, let's say I'm going to create another one. I had I'll make this one for Community Hospital North, another one of my activities I just created. I had another hospital visit. I went here, and let's say I didn't get to meet with anyone, but I was told that they are looking for a solution, and I should try back after let's say in quarter one. And it was a meeting, I felt safe, and I'll save this activity as well. So I've created these Map My Customers, web, phone. I can now go back here to HubSpot, and I can refresh this page. Let's go back to the first one we did was the Norman Regional Moore. And if you look here, I created this one first, so it's going to sync first. This activity I made in Map My Customers associated with this account has now synced over, kept that association, is in HubSpot, already there. That CRM data entry can be such a frustration. I've been there, but here it only has to be done once, and there it is for us. I bet if we go back to Community Hospital North, boom, it's right there. And now, so this has so many implications. If I'm a manager, I can see that this work is getting done, and it can all be happening in Map My Customers. So users aren't having to go back and forth between two applications. They have the map and they have the CRM entry there. If I'm a manager as well, it's going to be updating these things like activity date. I can quickly see that, oh, you know what? These things, they're happening, they're getting done. Those are two excellent questions, Jake and Rachel. Thanks for bringing this up. I'd love to answer some more. While we wait a moment for questions to come in, a couple of things I want to touch on. That sync can happen once per day, and it is that one way. But if you're looking for something else, really reach out to sales. We're willing to do the work to make sure that your sales team gets what they need to be successful, whether it is in the field or at home, or a combination of those two. We want to make sure that your team has all the tools that they need just reach out to the sales team and you can set something up. Is there a sales funnel on HubSpot that works with MMC? Totally. The sales funnel that you've created in HubSpot can be brought over to MMC, so those deals will match in that same, in all of your stages, so that those can totally be synced up there. We want to make sure that you have to do as little work between the two. You'll have to make sure things are set up correctly and they're all tied in the right way. We want to make sure that like the work you do in MMC is reflected accurately in HubSpot and vice versa. Brian asked another great question. How do you do an auto check-in? If using the mobile app, you're going to have two great options for automatic activity creation. The first is called auto visits, which means that the phone is going to do its best when you show up to the actual location. So if we're going to go do this visit, if I show up to Community Hospital North and the phone recognizes that I'm at this street address, it's going to try and create an activity for this account. Or the other option is a little bit more manual, but I would say more consistent, right? Because what's going to happen is when you get there, you can tap on the Community Hospital North account and click check-in, and we'll create that same activity. So there's two options, and organizations can choose which works for them, whether they want to rely on your phone's GPS to grab that location, or if you say, we want to make sure it's there every time, we're going to hit this auto check-in button. It's just one tap. If you do decide to do the check-ins, or it's going to grab your location if you're looking for auto visits. So great question there, Brian. And there's real power there too. If you have this integration set up, you can be doing these check-ins. So your activity creation in CRM can be so easy. Just these one-tap check-ins as you're going throughout your day, and then all of those will sync back into HubSpot, which just saves so much time, so that salespeople can focus on what they do best, and that's selling. Great questions. We got time for a couple of more. If anyone else has questions about integrations or other stuff. Well, at any time, if you do have questions, feel free to reach out to the sales@metmycustomers.me or to our support team to ask for help about whether it's questions about the integration or getting started, or taking that integration to the next level. As well, I'm going to leave up my contact information in just a moment here. You can reach out to me with questions about the integration, the way it works, some of our thinking, or questions generally about the web product. It's what I do all day. Is I love talking to customers to hear how you're using it and how you want to be using it. So please, feedback, suggestions, or you just want to talk mapping tools, you can hit me up, sam.anderson@metmycustomers.me. I'd love to hear from you. So the highlight of my day is to talk with customers. And finally, again, the last plug, if you are interested in learning more, or once you have set this up and met my customers and you want to get started for free with your less than 10 users, sales@metmycustomers.me to get started nice and easy. This has been so exciting for me. I'm glad to have been able to share this with you all. That's going to probably wrap up our time here today. I'll stay on for a couple of more minutes to answer any last questions that come through. But I've been so grateful to share this. I'm so excited. The HubSpot Met My Customer Sync is everything we've been waiting for. And if you're using HubSpot as your CRM, this is a great time. Thanks all for coming, and we'll happy mapping.